And we're live. I always have to wait for you to tell me we're live. So, what's up, folks? Stu Myrick, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, on the horn, on a Tuesday night, where there is a NFL game happening. Not just NFL, but it's the Cowboys and the Ravens. I think Cowboys are up 3-0 right now, early in the first quarter. Had breaking news tonight with that game. Des Bryant, the former Cowboys receiver, now plays with the Ravens. He had an inconclusive COVID test this morning, traveled with the team. Actually, I don't know why he traveled. They're playing in Baltimore. Shows up at the facility. Apparently got a positive COVID test, so now he's tested positive for COVID, and he's not in the game. He was really looking forward to obviously facing his former team tonight as they try to finally wrap up Week 13 in the NFL. So, let's see. What is there to talk about? There hadn't been much. Some guy named Sting. I joke with that because I'm probably one of the biggest Sting fans there is. In case you haven't heard, and if you haven't, what rock are you hiding under? Sting showed up on AEW Dynamite last week. So, excuse me, Baltimore is ahead, 7-3. And, of course, it was Lamar Jackson scoring. He just came off the COVID list. So, anyway. But yeah, Sting shows up on AEW Dynamite it was at the end of the match with Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin against Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. Cody and Darby get the win. Team Taz starts the beatdown. Here comes Cage. Here comes Arn Anderson. Here comes Dustin. They beat them down. They're holding Cody up. Hobbs has the FTW world title in his hand. He's getting ready to swing for the fences. The lights go out, and this eerie music starts playing. And then across the screen, Sting. And they had like fake snow falling. Apparently it was like 40 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida, last Wednesday. So it was actually kind of cold. Sting comes out. Does a stare down with Arns, does stare down with Dustin, does stare down with Cody, and then finishes up stare down with Darby Allin. And Darby Allin's the only one, well, Arn was standing, but Darby stands there. He's giving him the glare, and then Sting walks off. So it was momentous. And so we'll see what happens. He is supposed to talk to Tony Schiavone tomorrow night on Access. Wow. On AEW Dynamite on TNT. Speaking of Axis, so the end of the show, the big main event, Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Kenny Omega. Hard hitting, goes a good, 20, 30 minutes. Action spills outside, and Omega ends up landing on one of the heaters that they had ringside. And he feigns an injury, and the medical staff comes down. Don Callis, Impact Wrestling executive, who was invited to sit in on commentary, he goes down to check on Kenny. And, well, Moxley, he wants nothing. He's pulling people off and throws Kenny back in the ring. He's going to beat him up. And Callis has got a mic. He's saying, Mox, and Moxley slugs him. Well, as Callis is going down, he gets the mic towards Kenny. Kenny gets up, bops Moxley on the head with the mic, and actually made him bleed. That's a hell of a microphone. I mean, it's like one of these. And I don't know. I've never hit anybody with one of these, but I can't imagine that's it'd make him bleed, but hey, it did. Kenny, series of V triggers, one wing angel, 1, 2, 3. Kenny is your new AEW World Champion. But what happened immediately afterwards is what everybody was buzzing about. So raises his hand, victory, gets the belt. Don Callis is there. He goes, all right, let's go. And they start taking off through the backstage area. You see him pass by Tony Khan, who's screaming at him. You see him pass by a bunch of AEW people. Jerry Lynn was there. And they head to this black SUV. Alex Marvez gets them and say, hey, explain, what is this? What's going on? Don Callis says, we'll tell all of it on next Tuesday night. Well, Alex goes, wait, AEW Dynamite's on Wednesday night. He goes, next Tuesday night on Impact Wrestling on Access TV, we'll reveal everything. And then they take off. So, of course, the wrestling world has blown up. The AEW the brand new AEW World Champion is to appear on Impact Wrestling. So that's airing tonight. Now, I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. So as a member of the, quote, media, I get a preview of the episode. I get to see the episode early. So I've already seen it. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. Plus, they put us on a ban. You're not supposed to, can't say anything until after it airs. So, but just watch. If you get a chance, Impact Wrestling Access TV. Check it out while you're listening to us or watching us. So, and there's going to be more tomorrow night on AEW Dynamite on TNT. So, they got all sorts. I mean, this was like full of stuff. Plus, you got Orange Cassidy taking on MJF for the Diamond Ring, the Diamond Dozen Ring, whatever they call it. You got apparently Shaq is coming. Shaquille O'Neal's going to be on AEW, and Tony Schiavone's going to talk to him. Tony's going to be busy. I mean, Tony Schiavone's consummate professional. I had him on the show a couple times, and he's fantastic. But he's between talking to Shaq and then talking to Sting. How about it? So, anyway, should be a fun night tomorrow night on TNT, AEW Dynamite. You gotta believe they're gonna, viewership's gonna go through the roof a little bit. You would think. So, let's see. Meanwhile, flip through. I'm gonna check it. I'm just checking. We'll see. Oh, it was Lamar Jackson 37-yard rushing touchdown. Boy, didn't he come back at the right time. So anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about NXT TakeOver War Games from Sunday. It was a good card. I've heard a few criticisms. I don't know if I buy them, but there's been a few. I've heard there's the booking for the women's War Games match was odd. It's a War Games match. I don't think you have to think too deep into it. So, we'll probably won't talk much about Raw or SmackDown just because it's the same stuff each week. They're gearing towards TLC. Roman Reigns is still head of the table. I will say this, and we may talk about this on the radio show. So you had on Monday Night Raw, you had Ricochet and Dana Brooke taking on Slapjack, Slap Dick, Slap whatever, and Reckoning, a.k.a. Mia Yim, from Retribution. And Dana Brooke ends up pinning Mia Yim. So this was the second time they've pinned. That Dana Brooke has pinned her. So they get the win, and Mustafa Ali is losing his mind, screaming at, Slapnuts and Reckoning, how they're embarrassing him and yada yada. And if I didn't know better, I think they would be teasing a breakup, which, look, this Retribution angle has gone on way too long. This is easily one of the worst booked angles or booked storylines that WWE has done in a long time. I mean, they've had some bad ones, but this has been an abject failure. And you feel bad for the people involved, like Mia Yim, like Dominik Dijakovic, Donovan Dijak, whatever you want to call him, Shane Thorne, Dio Madden even. Even feel bad for Mustafa Ali. I've been saying it for weeks. It needs to be given the old Yeller treatment. Take it out to the woodshed and just put a bullet in the brain and end the misery. So I hope that's what we're going to see. As Justin Simmons walks in. No, yes, I was hoping to see you, so I'm glad to see you. But no, I was talking about the tease from Monday night that maybe, fingers crossed, we may see the beginning of the end of Retribution.
Don't say such things. It's like one of the most interesting things going on because we're wondering.
What?
We've been talking about it each and every week.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have.
No, I've skipped it.
No.
I purposely skipped it because.
No, but we have brought them up each and every week.
We don't even. I don't know who. I don't know. You got a frog in your pocket?
No, you even brought them up last week. You make fun of them.
Did I?
Yes, you made fun of them last week and the week before and the week before. But you mentioned them, right? And the thing about it, what's beautiful about that, is that it works because it's so bad we have to talk about it. We don't even talk about AJ.
Actually, we don't have to talk.
No, but we always knock it.
I'm pretty sure
we don't even talk about AJ's.
I have last week's run sheet,
and
I'm pretty sure we did not mention.
No, my friend.
Because all we did was NXT War Games.
You called them Retribution.
No, that was a few weeks ago.
No, that
was just because we saw Taco Shop Mania 2.
No, sir. No, this was before you left to the woods of Arkansas.
You mean? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't remember that, and there may have been in a passing moment, but no. Look, I'll be honest. Look. Wait. You know as well as I. You've been doing this sports radio thing for a little while. You know as well as I do. Just because we talk about it doesn't mean it needs to continue. This is not P.T. Barnum. This is not Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. As long as they spell your name right.
No. I'm not saying that it's good. What I'm saying is that it's so bad that we knock on it without even knowing about that you talked about it. We talk about it because I promise you I'm keeping track.
Okay, sure.
But the thing that makes it interesting is just that it's so bad that we mention it in passing because it's just like it really needs to end.
It does. It needs. I just said it needs the old Yeller treatment. Take it out to the back, put a bullet in its brain, and let it end the misery.
I don't know.
For all of us.
Will they let you do that anymore? I think that's like, I don't think you can get away with it.
Well, you can't. I mean, there's not a physical thing to put a bullet in.
Okay.
I'm talking about the storyline.
Okay.
I'm just the one thing I do worry about is how this will affect Dominik Dijakovic and Mia Yim and Shane Thorne and Dio Madden and even Mustafa Ali.
Can we just remember Money in the Bank?
You mean this year's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we
vaguely.
Should we just?
It was a while back,
should they all just fall over a ledge? I mean, they'll be okay.
Sure.
Right. If
Absolutely.
they fall over the ledge, they're all right.
Actually, I thought and I heard this. It may have been. It was either the What Culture guys or it may have been Brian Alvarez talking about this on Wrestling Observer Radio. The thought that crossed my mind was when they finally ended the Spirit Squad. Remember the Spirit Squad in WWE?
I do.
And DX beat them, and they put them in a big crate, and it was stamped to OVW.
Yep.
That's what they need to do. Actually, but except don't send them to OVW or NXT or anywhere else. Just send them to the warehouse. Send them to the WWE warehouse where they keep all the other stuff.
That's too harsh. That means they'll never are ever to return ever again, except for maybe.
That's fine by me. They should not. They should never return.
Well,
I never want to I never want to see slap dick or slap nuts or slap whatever
but
or mace face,
I,
paper plate face. No. I'm not talking about now. Understand? I don't mean the wrestlers themselves.
I know.
I want to see Donovan Dijak. I'm gonna say Donovan Dijak because I want to see Dio Madden. I want to see Shane Thorne. I want to see Mia Yim.
Yes, I get that. I'm like, where
Those characters though?
I thought I
need
had
to go
the
away.
energy. Where like all of a sudden we talk about Retribution, and it's like, man,
It's
this
the
fire.
rage. It's just the rage.
But see, I understand your rage, but what I fail to understand
Hey,
is
Cowboys are up 10-7. All right.
But what I fail to understand
Early second quarter.
But what I fail to understand is why can't you find like the beauty in the fact that we are seeing something that is so bad. It's almost on gobbledygooker style level. Like this is something that they might call back to and make fun of in 25 years. It could be that bad.
Except then they need to treat it like retribution, like in Talking Shop of Mania 2. It needs to be treated like the joke it is.
But hasn't it?
Not yet, no.
Like the wrestlers themselves will be fine.
I hope so, and I think they will.
There's been no fans there, so there really isn't any way to like impact
and that's
what will happen.
And that's kind of the thing with a lot of what we've seen is there are times when the thought does cross my mind, how would fans react to this? You know, like for instance, Roman Reigns, the whole head of the table tribal chief thing.
Yeah,
because I'll be honest, it's starting to make me laugh. Now maybe, and I'm not saying they need to get rid of it, but it's just it's getting a little comical now.
Yes,
with the seriousness in the angst in the they don't respect me. Oh! You know, it's making me laugh now.
Yes,
and maybe that's what it's supposed to do. If it's supposed to do that, then congratulations, mission accomplished.
Again, I think it really just goes into how you view your professional wrestling.
How do you watch WWE?
Again, it's a show about a wrestling company
trying to put on a wrestling show.
So we all know that they're putting on these characters and trying to make them work. And what we're judging
to
see if it works.
There you go.
That's
and you know as well as I do, there are wrestling fans out there that are like hanging on every word of Roman Reigns. They think this is they think this is like Oscar worthy. They're talking, you know, this is you know, right up there with The Godfather and the first Star Wars, and you know, they think this is the greatest thing ever. And I'm going, it's whatever.
Well, Stu, I mean, no offense.
But then again, I got a little history, so
yeah. But I mean, no disrespect to any professional wrestling fans, but the standard of acting for professional wrestling isn't exactly, you know, Oscar level we're trying to achieve here.
No, it's not.
It's at least decently believable.
It's fine.
It's excellent.
Yeah, it's fine.
But there's very few people that can do that.
But it's just hard for me to, you know, like I said, it just makes me laugh.
You know, I'm just like AEW had a full song and dance, and if they're gonna have a
right, not everything's for everything.
Yeah,
everybody, I get you.
And even they had the Dark Order, and it didn't really work out at first.
Didn't until Brody Lee, which by the way we haven't seen in months. I think I remember something about. I think there's an injury or something that he's nursing. I can't remember, but we haven't seen Brody Lee. Like
honestly, you know, the best logical conclusion to the whole Retribution thing would be to have some of the squad, the inner workings of the squad, turn against Mustafa Ali, him have his allies, and kind of make it like.
By the way, it's Mustafa. Because if he hears you say that, say it the wrong way, he will come and find you.
No, I
apologize. And you know, I don't want him.
Well,
you know.
It's also as a play-by-play broadcaster, I just tried to get the name right. So
we've seen Mustafa forever.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
Mustafa.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not hard for me to make that change. I might mess up a couple of times, but I should try to make it better. But
You remember Roy Oswalt pitched for the Astros and a couple other teams.
yeah,
Played in Round Rock. When he first showed up at Round Rock, I know a bunch of us, including Mike Caps, used to say Oswalt because that's what it looks like.
oh
And
yeah,
he finally corrected it's Oswalt. So
yeah,
that's I think of things
Mustafa.
like
yeah. But it's just a common courtesy to even like the performer,
Right.
Just to at least get their
Absolutely.
name right. I'm not trying to Chris Jericho them here,
well again and again.
There's Shavante,
He picks now to correct everybody.
which is fine.
He's been in WWE for a while, but now he decides to correct everybody. It's like,
if that's going to help play to his character, that's
true.
perfect.
That's true.
But the best thing to happen would be like Dijak and somebody else, Dio maybe break away, and then
oh yeah,
and then you would have Ali with someone else, and
Mia Yim will be part of the women's division, which she'd be a great addition.
well, she might stick around. Who knows?
Yeah.
So there'd be like
Nah,
a little feud
Now I would
before they would break ways.
if they're gonna break them up,
no, because
totally destroy it.
no, because you need a tag team.
So you got Dijak and Madden.
Yeah, but I mean, like you have to have them break away
Or-
specifically.
Or Dijak and Thorne. Shane Thorne was part of Team 61 in NXT.
Yeah. I mean, but that's how you would have to do it. You would have to break them up to where the team that would eventually win the feud essentially would have to be a tag team. You don't want them just to split up. You want to utilize them for the tag team division because they're needing tag teams.
Okay, but don't have them as whatever their retribution names. Have them as Dijak and Madden, or come up with a new name. Have them be themselves, but come up with some other name. Or
Well, I mean,
let's kill retribution.
I mean,
the name,
well, yeah,
the angle, the storyline.
Yeah, well, when I'm saying that, like, I guess I need to explain more. Like, you would start to see them peel away the layers of the retribution thing and try to be like, well, I'm going to use my actual name and stop wearing the mask and all this other stuff, and then
Yes.
stop wearing the clothes. Little by little, you would see like little things that would show that they were turning. That's how it would be if it was good.
Well,
You
I was
could
going to
still-
say right now. I think as of now, don't wait on. Don't stretch this out.
Well, I don't mind
Flip a
because
switch.
they have nothing else to put on, so at least they have something to
true.
give us. It's like watching Saturday Night Live. You know, it's not going to be funny, but you watch it anyways because you hope something's going to be good.
Yeah, you hope at least at least Weekend Update might make you laugh, or
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you can't go and
whoever the host. Jason Bateman. He was good this week.
But if you can get all 3 hours worth of the show and it's excellent, that's awesome. But I sell
True.
for about an hour.
Yeah, All right, let's get into this and see what kind of radio magic we can make.
Hey, this is The Stinger, and you are listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, where it's always showtime. Tune it in, and then tear off the knob.
When they're not covering the sports world, they're talking about the world of professional wrestling.
It's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Now, with Justin Simmons, here's Stu Myrick.
And I was just as excited as Tony. Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the horn. Stu Myrick, Justin Smash Simmons. What's up, man?
I don't want to rain on your parade, so I mean, I'm doing all right.
Well, I know you're not as big of a fan. I'm a little Stinger from going way back.
Well, no, I mean I like Sting. It's just like I'm just thinking of like, is he going to wrestle?
That's a good question. That's a good question. The audio courtesy of TNT and AEW. So, in case you've been either in a cabin on the Ouachita River in Arkansas, like me, although even I watched it, or somewhere, parts unknown. Last week on AEW Dynamite, you had the tag match: Cody Rhodes and the TNT champion Darby Allin taking on Team Taz's Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. The match, hard-hitting, as you might expect. Cody and Darby get the win. I think Darby got the win on Ricky with the coffin drop. As soon as the winner is declared, here comes the rest of Team Taz. They're starting the beat down. Here comes Dustin. Here comes Arn to help out. Here comes Brian Cage to pull them off. They finally get everybody beat up. They isolate Cody. They got Cody held up. They're holding Cody up. Powerhouse Hobbs has that FTW World Title belt in his hands. He's getting ready to swing for the fences. And then the lights go out. And then the music. Interesting theme, by the way. And then you see across that big, Jumbotron, Sting, and here he comes. And they got the fake snow falling. It was a little chilly in Jacksonville, allegedly. It was about 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Sting comes out, pulls the baseball bat out, and goes in the ring, does the stare downs, and that was it. So immediately after that, and God bless the PR people for AEW. As soon as that aired, here comes the press release that Sting has been signed to a multi-year, agreement with AEW. They did say it's a full-time multi-year. Let's see. See if I can find it. But it is a full-time agreement. They mentioned it, multi-year with AEW. Forgive me. I'm paging through. There we go. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Let's see. Officially signed Sting to a full-time multi-year agreement. Quote from Tony Khan: "The surprise introduction of Sting was a great way to celebrate our biggest episode of Dynamite yet. When AEW launched, I was ecstatic to bring wrestling back to TNT after a very long absence. Sting defeated the legendary Ric Flair in the final wrestling match to be shown on TNT for more than 18 years. Well, actually, it was 19 years. Until the debut of Dynamite in 2019. Now, almost two decades later, it's such a thrill to welcome Sting to AEW and bring him back home to TNT." So there you have it. Sting officially a part of All Elite Wrestling. And depending on if you're watching us on YouTube Live, tomorrow night, if you're listening to us on the Horn, happened tonight, Tony Schiavone will talk to the icon, Sting. Now, probably his first conversation with him in 20 years.
It might be, unless they ran into each other on the
circuits. On the convention circuit or whatever, yeah.
But that should be some good television to watch.
Yeah.
But again, my big question is just in what capacity is he signed to a multi-year full-time deal? I mean, from everything that's been talked about in his possible wrestling career, in ring would be over at this point.
That's what most of us, understand. He's 61, 62 years old, has a case of spinal stenosis. I don't know what it looks like. Now, if he can just be a presence like Arn Anderson, like Taz, like Tully Blanchard, hey, I'll take that.
But the
team him up with Darby Allin,
Maybe, but the character Sting is just like such a big presence. It's like when he comes out, all attention's on Sting.
It is.
However you use him, he's got to be like the focal point in order to be used properly. You'd be doing him a disservice if you weren't using him that way. So that's where my big question stems. Also, more so actually, does the demographic that they chase, because, I mean, in the end, if you're looking at the business aspects of this, does the 18 to 35-year-old crowd, do they find it a big deal to have Sting at AEW? Because they didn't grow up watching him go against Ric Flair. They didn't grow up watching him come out and take out the NWO.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna take a phone call.
Sure.
What's up, D? Yeah. Do you want to come on? Okay. Give me 2 seconds. I'll call you back. All right. Bye. Okay. Gotta love when it's live. We get a phone call.
See, we're a radio show that we're
And
a
then-
YouTube show that does a radio show.
And just like that, who calls but our honorary co-host, our honorary AEW correspondent, the natural Dustin Rhodes.
Oh
so
my gosh, are we gonna get Dustin Rhodes versus Sting?
I am
'Cause
about
I will
to give him a call right now.
I'll pay to watch that.
Let's see. All right, let's do that.
Ooh,
I don't have to dial, so we can pot him up.
could we get him in a tag team? That'd be awesome. Can you imagine
See.
him and Sting in a tag team? That would be really cool. Like, I would pay to see that.
Dustin, you there?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks for calling. Good timing, man.
Well, I just saw you on Twitter.
Oh. All right, so I'm gonna hit record and bring you in. And we're on YouTube Live, by the way. So,
Okay, good.
But I'm gonna bring you in anyway. We were just talking about Sting, so great timing.
Good deal.
All right, here we go. And as I mentioned, as if we were attuned mentally, which we might as well be. We're close to the same age. Joining us now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline, our honorary co-host, our honorary AEW correspondent. He was in the ring and got the stare down from the man himself. I give you the natural Dustin Rhodes. What's up, D?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good, man. How cold was it in Jacksonville? JR said it was about 40 degrees last Wednesday.
Yeah, that night it was 40 degrees. The night before that was about 38.
Woo.
It was chilly.
Man.
It was a chilly one, to say the least.
Yeah, it sounds like it was. So let me get your thoughts. You were there in the ring. You came down to help your brother and Darby, and Team Taz is doing the beat down, and we hit the music, and here comes Sting. And give me your reaction when you saw him coming through the tunnel and coming over to the ring.
You know, I think the first reaction was that the entrance in itself was just really cool. They had snow blowing, and the winter is here, right? So it's like the snow was blowing, and it was really cool. And my daughter, she took this shot of Sting coming out of the tunnel, and it's a very cool shot. He's not all the way out of the tunnel yet, and you could see his little silhouette. It's a real cool shot, and he comes out of the tunnel, man, and the place is going crazy, and he steps in the ring, and at that second, I thought to myself, you know what? It's been however many years since I've been in the ring with Sting and tagged with him several times, numerous amount of times, and to see him in an AEW ring, but to see him, walk over to Arn, who did a lot for Sting, to walk over to me, there's history there, and then to walk over to my brother, who this is his first, he gets a look at Sting, and and now it's his time to have a little history with Sting, and then of course Darby Allin. The four of us in the ring, it was just a very special, cool moment, a cool stare down, cool looks all the way around. The world just popped, it's going crazy. Sting's here, AEW. Let's go. You know what I mean?
I couldn't agree more. I was sitting, as I was just telling Justin, I was sitting in a chair at my family cabin in Arkansas on the Washita River. Got the river flowing. It's cold there too. Watching it on TV, and I jumped out of my chair when I saw him come out. And
there's people that you mark out for, right? And you know, like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Sting is one of those. He's the icon, right? And
Absolutely.
he commands attention when he walks into a room, and it's pretty impressive to see him at the ripe age of 61 and still in love with the business, passionate. It's fed him well over the years, and he's here, and he's, I'm sure, going to share some of his teachings and knowledge with our young kids, which would be very, very cool for them to learn, and to see the master who has owned the wrestling world in WCW for so long.
I have to ask you, man. It's great to have you on. So thank you again for joining us. But
Yeah, Justin, what's up?
I'm always just one of your aspects now that you're a year into this. Like, how has the transition been for you? As you know, now you remember what it was like to be the young upstart. Now you're the cagey veteran, kind of passing on your guidance. How do you see like the wrestling world morphing over this time period, especially during the pandemic? It seems that there's been a lot of changes to the wrestling world where everybody is just kind of cool with it. But since you grew up in this business, I would imagine that sometimes it's a little bit harder to kind of. I would just imagine. I'm not saying that it is, but it might be a little bit more difficult to kind of accept some of those changes that might be going on in the business. But from your perspective,
those times, right now it is what it is, and we're making the best of it. But this last year, and most of it being in the pandemic before we got completely shut down from crowds and things, we deal with it, and we go out there and we perform 100%. Everybody is very passionate about their work, including myself, including everybody from the top office to the bottom, and we're all helping each other. It has a really cool Dallas Cowboy, Texas Longhorn team, America's team feel to it.
that's so cool.
For me personally, and I believe everybody is working for the same goal, and that is to elevate AEW, to send it off and make it the number one pro wrestling place in the world, even though we're not looking at that right now as a competition or anything. We're our own thing. And all we can do is focus on ourselves getting better and our company getting better and elevating each and every week, trying to bust that million and trying to elevate from that, and sooner or later here, hopefully sooner than later, we'll have our crowds back and we'll be selling out arenas again, and we'll be just killing it. It's been a lot of fun. Even though we've been in this pandemic, it has still been a lot of fun because we've had a roster out there cheering us on, and 20% of the crowd has come in on some of the dynamites. So it feels good when you can hear their voices, because their voices matter, and it does add an electricity to the building. You feel them, and then when they leave, it's like, well, shit, it's kind of quiet in here.
Yeah.
But you still go through the motions, you still do your thing and work hard because the audience at home expects that, and that's what we give them.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Dustin. With the pandemic, with everything that AEW and every other wrestling company has had to go through, do you see where the creativity have you seen creativity come out of this that we may not have seen has there not been a pandemic, or had companies not have to go through what they go through right now? The creativity level, I know there'd still be the creativity level, but there's a different kind of creativity that's being produced right now. Wouldn't you agree? And just kind of reflect on that.
I would agree. But the thing about it is we're stuck in this one building right now, so it's easy because we go there every single week to put on Dynamite, and everything's kind of in home, and it makes it a lot easier that we're all really just there, and we're traveling to one place, so we can plan a little better. We can create a little more. We know the building and the exact where everything is, and where we could do certain moves or things in the crowd or the audience, as opposed to going to a new arena and seeing, okay, well, what's available, where can we fight? It just takes a little longer to plan and put together. This is already there. We know it. It makes it easier to create with that backdrop that we have there. And, yeah, there's going to be challenges as soon as we get back on the road and, into live arenas again. But hell, I think everybody handled it at the beginning, and we're going to handle it, if not better than we did at the beginning, better. You know what I'm saying? We've only grown, and I think we're going to continue to grow. And I think right now everybody's on the same page, and just really, really, their creative juices are flowing. Whether some of their creativity is good or bad or whatever, we throw a lot of shit at a wall, and we hope something sticks. And a lot of times, the stuff that we do throw sticks, and it's just really cool. It's a good feel. It's something different. It's an alternative to anything else out there. And you have all kinds of different styles here. You have AEW Dark and so many Florida talent that are coming in, and we get a good look at, and hopefully they start really working really hard on AEW Dark, and then you never know, they get a shot on Dynamite, and boom, you have this new talent that nobody's ever seen before. And all of a sudden, who is this guy? Well, it's so-and-so. And then the next week he's doing it again, and then the next week, and, we continue on like that. We continue on with new talent that, nobody's seen. And it's just really cool because we have a lot of people down there. There's a lot of wrestling talent in Florida. So it makes it a little easier for them to get there, drive, take their COVID tests, all the normal weekly things we got to go through just to get there and train and get some eyes upon you.
Yeah, and I wanted, not just Florida, though. You've got talent coming from all over. I know I've seen, 2 or 3 that come from the Texas area between Fuego del Sol, Alex Gracia, who trained with Booker T. You got you've had a couple other Texas guys and kids there. So it is a great, and especially AEW Dark has been a great showcase for a lot of that independent talent that takes the time, that takes the commitment to go down there and possibly get booked and show up on AEW.
I know that after Dynamites, man, we shoot so much content for Dark, and if we weren't in the pandemic right now, I remember when we started, how we were doing maybe 4 or 5 Darks, right? And that was it for the Dark matches. But now we have there's so many matches, and you get a lot of people. You get eyes on a lot of new folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And new people that are coming in trying to make their name, and that's good for them. And you get them coming from other companies too. So there's a cross branding type situation that's going on, and it's pretty cool. It is really cool to have such a plethora of young talent, girls. Alex is great. Alex Gracia is unreal. I've been working with her close and a lot lately. Fuego too is pretty cool. He needs to fill out a little bit, but he's doing a tremendous job. So many great talented kids, man, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch them pull off something really cool and get some notoriety on social media and things like that, and on TV. It's very neat, and I'm happy for them. I'm proud of them.
That's true.
D-Dog, I had to ask you. You were talking about creative juices. Now, I expect AEW to kind of be outside the box and like you were talking about, throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. But do you think there was some chances that were taken during the pandemic creative-wise that you think that during normal circumstances wouldn't have been taken?
No. I mean, we have a thought, and the bosses have a thought, and we try to make the thing work, as best we can. So far we've been doing really good, and taking things like you're saying, extra chances or chances that maybe we shouldn't do certain things. I disagree with. I think we're doing everything we should and could, and we're standing out, and that's the main thing. But we are also taking very good care of our talent, making sure everybody's well-being and their safety is our number one concern, and we're just doing what we can, man, and doing the best that we can, and I think we're shining.
I agree. I've heard a lot of people talk about all the different, the testing and the protocols and all the different safeguards that AEW is taking. You got all the trailers there that are, where, that kind of serve as, staging and dressing area and whatever in the back, and I've heard a lot about that, and it's you gotta applaud Tony and everybody there at AEW, you guys, for what you're doing to do a still put on in great TV content, great TV wrestling, but do it as safely as possible. And you AEW should be commended for it. I completely.
Well, we're under very strict testing rules and things, and nobody's allowed in our bubble. Once everybody's been tested, it is very strict, and the doc knows where we're at all times. If we go out of town and we come back in town, say we're there for 10 days, test us again. You know what I mean? We're constantly testing. I don't know how many freaking tests I've had, but it's like, and every once in a while somebody, will feel bad and they'll keep them home just as a precaution.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, things happen, and right now we're just doing the best we can with what we got, but I think we're doing pretty damn good.
I would say so. It's looking good. Let me ask you about Kenny Omega as the new world champion. Everything that went down last Wednesday night with him and John Moxley and Don Callis from Impact Wrestling. Give me your thoughts on Kenny Omega as the new AEW world champion.
Kenny is a tremendous athlete, tremendous worker, and the cleaner's back. And, Kenny Omega has made his career off of having great matches. He stepped in the ring with John Moxley. Did they have a 5-star match? I considered it more of a brawl and that a fight type of match. And those matches are kind of my style and the things that I like to watch. And I thought they did a really good job. And we're going to see what Kenny Omega can do with the World Heavyweight title.
Let me ask you this. So, at the very tail end of AEW, Don Callis proclaims that he and Kenny are going to talk about what happened on Impact Wrestling, which airs, well, if you're watching us on YouTube, it airs tonight. If you're listening to us on the Horn, it aired last night. You've had a little bit of history with Impact, TNA, whatever you want to call it. Just give me your impression on having that crossover, having Kenny Omega with the AEW World title on Impact Wrestling.
I don't know what's in Kenny's mind right now, or Don Callis, and what they're actually trying to get out of this, or what. I mean, hey, any crossover is good crossover. Any media talk is good media talk, whether somebody's bad mouthing it or not. At least somebody's talking about it, And crossover, yeah, you got superstars over there. We have ours. We have people come from MLW. We have people come from all over the place, man. And any crossover is, as long as it benefits AEW, that's all that I'm concerned with. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, tonight I'm watching AEW Dark.
Right.
Or I just got done watching AEW Dark, so.
Yeah, I agree, but I think you're right though. Any type of crossover, cross promotion, whatever, if it benefits, hey, why not? By the way, I love the spot they did. I saw a video of Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone doing it looked like it was straight out of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. Had the backdrop that looked like it, had the graphic, the lower third that looked like it, promoting AEW Dynamite on TNT.
Yeah.
Looked fantastic. I loved it. I loved every moment.
Wasn't that cool looking?
That was pretty sweet. As soon as I saw that, at first I saw Tony Schiavone and I'm thinking Bob Caudle. It was it transposed them because it was that same backdrop.
It had that old feel, man, which was just, when I first saw it, I was like, because I didn't know they did that, and then I first saw it and I was like, oh shit, when is this? But it was like from here, and I'm like, oh damn, that's really cool, man. That was a great idea.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Hey, I had to ask you. So you have your wrestling school going on. I know you introduced your first class not too long ago. How is that progressing? Have you had a chance to swing by and kind of give a look to the new recruits?
The recruits aren't in town yet. They should be rolling in the next couple weeks, right?
Okay.
And, the building, I've been going back and forth, working pretty tirelessly on setting things up and getting everything ready. I mean, we're ready to go January 8th. And we have everybody that's signed up for this class. Everybody's paid in full, and they're ready to go, man. So I'm going to give my heart and soul into this, and hopefully we can have some good prospects turn out.
Well, I'm excited for you. And after January 8th, we'll have to set aside a day. Maybe Justin and I can come by and check it out.
Definitely, man. You need to get out there. Come see me.
Absolutely. I'll bring you a pizza.
I was going to say, what toppings do you like?
Yeah, what toppings do you like on pizza?
Here's the deal, and it might spark a debate. But here's my toppings, okay? I like double ground beef.
All right.
Okay.
Double pepperoni.
Okay.
Italian sausage.
All right.
Extra cheese, extra sauce. Thin crust.
Thin crust. Wow, I wasn't expecting a thin crust.
Actually, I prefer thin crust too.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, I cannot stand people that put pineapple on a fucking pizza. It is not right.
No.
It is wrong. I don't care. I'll argue with somebody till they're blue in the face, till I'm blue in the face. It is just stupid.
You're right.
To put pineapple on a pizza.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more.
You guys probably like pineapple on your pizza.
No, I do not. And I spent 2.5 years in Hawaii. I love pineapple. I love pizza. I don't want them together.
Right.
Yeah, it's not necessarily.
It's like putting peanut butter and jelly on pizza. It just doesn't go. It doesn't go.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm with you there on that one. So
Justin?
No, I'm not a fan, Dustin.
Yeah. And you know what else doesn't belong on pizza is anchovies.
I'm with you on that too. I've never even thought about putting anchovies on it. I've never thought about putting pineapple.
I think I've only had the anchovies once, and that was like overseas. I don't think I've ever had anchovies in America.
All right, we are done talking with Justin for having anchovies on, or olives, or pineapple on his pizza.
I'm sorry, man. I can't be cool
Stu,
like you.
it's me and you, kid. Can I take his position, his spot?
Hey, you call me kid. That's great. Because I am 6 months older than you, 8 months older than you, I think. Although, hey, Sting's 62, so we're all young compared to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, age is just a number.
I saw you and your lovely wife out hunting. How did the hunting trip go?
Hunting went great. We got 4.
Nice.
We got 2 huge oryx. So my freezer is full. So you'll have to come over and have some deer meat.
You name the night. I will bring the sweet tea, and we will chow down.
Hell yes. Sounds good. That's the plan.
Yeah, I'll bring cigars. We'll just have a night of it.
We need to do that anyways.
We do. Sometime before Christmas. Let's do that. So, hey, by the way, the Cowboys. I think I saw them. They're at least keeping up with Baltimore.
I'm watching them right now.
Are they?
They're a shit show. It's embarrassing.
Hey, at least you speak
really
the truth.
is.
You're just he's just saying what we're thinking.
That's true.
Let's just throw it away. Just throw it away, or throw it to the defenders. Hell,
just it's not good. Now you heard the breaking news from before the game. Des Bryant tested positive, so he wasn't able to play. He was at the facility warming up, and they tested him, and he tested positive. He's not playing against his former team.
You know what's bad?
What's that?
That I have not paid attention to the Cowboys because they've started. They're embarrassing right now. The season's over. It's like what? I didn't even know Dez came back.
Yeah, Dez is. He's now he's signed with Baltimore. So he was going to play tonight against Dallas, but then COVID test knocked him out. So,
what do you think of this coach?
McCarthy?
I'm just looking at him on the sideline. He's
I
had
don't
one
know.
too many pizzas himself, I think.
Well, it's that good living. I don't know if it was that living in Lakeway or whatever. He used to have a house in Lakeway.
Did he?
So yeah, so I don't know what to think of McCarthy. I wasn't, it didn't really ring my bell when they announced him.
I don't think he was anybody's choice to become the
What do
head
you think of
coach.
Jerry Jones?
Well,
We're gonna have to have a
oh
whole
boy,
nother show.
I was going to say that. Yeah,
Whole nother show.
because
Justin's
I've
kicking me off right now.
No.
We could. I mean, Jerry Jones. Look, Jerry Jones is probably the best owner in the NFL, but he's the worst general manager. Well, I wouldn't say worse. What's his name with Detroit? Matt used to play for the Lions. Used to do football games on Fox.
Matt Millen?
Matt Millen, thank you.
Yeah.
He was a pretty bad GM.
Well, my thing with Jerry Jones is just I will always appreciate what he did to help win those Super Bowls of the early 90s until he got too big of an ego and thought that he was the sole reason to do it. So I wish,
What
Well,
did he do
because
to get
that's the
those
thing.
Super Bowls?
That's part of the problem. Jimmy Johnson got all the credit, and Jerry thought he should get some credit. So
he wanted a little bit more credit than just buying the team
we
and
just
making
threw it away.
yeah,
then having to make that such a harsh decision to fire Tom Landry, to fire a legend. He felt that was
by the way,
something that had to be.
Dustin, you're
honored.
a Longhorn fan. You've rooted
Yes.
for the Longhorns. Did you know that Tom Landry played for the Longhorns?
Yes.
Okay, I'm wondering why the University of Texas doesn't make a bigger deal about that. It's been asked like forever.
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
And I've
man.
talked to some of my sports radio colleagues that they wonder the same thing. If this was Texas A&M, they'd have like 5 statues of him on campus.
Was he a standout at Texas?
He was. I want to say he was all conference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Played in a couple Cotton Bowls.
as a DB, right?
Right, as a defensive back. And it could be simple fact that it's defensive back, and back in the 50s and 60s, defensive backs weren't weren't the highlights that they are now. So, but I was wondering about that. One of these days I'll have to tell you the story about how Jerry Jones tried to steal my soul.
Really?
Yes, it was a.
Well, give me a little.
Now I just got to hear it
taste
now.
of it.
Okay, fine. I'll tell you now.
Before you hang up.
It was a post game. It was post game. Jerry doing his usual scrum with the media post game outside the locker room, and I'm in the scrum. Got the recorder going, listening to whatever he's spouting out, and eventually a bunch of the other sports media head into the locker room. It eventually goes down. It boils down to Jerry Jones. I'm standing right in front of him. Shireen Williams, who used to write for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, one of the best football writers in the business, she's standing right next to me, and there may have been a couple others. Shireen would ask Jerry a question. Jerry would look at me to answer. I mean, looked at me eye to eye, and so I kept thinking he was trying to steal my soul. So, I mean, we've exchanged pleasantries.
He
I'll
was
give that.
uncomfortable looking at her?
I don't know. Maybe. And Shireen's not. I mean, Shireen's a nice lady. She's, not to mention, again, a fantastic reporter. She's one of my favorites. She's a Hall of
Just
Famer.
being overly protective and careful.
Maybe that's it. Or maybe Shireen pissed him off sometime. Shireen's been doing this a while, so who knows?
Yeah.
But
Could be.
Maybe he was
Could
trying
be.
to figure out who you were. Like, who's
that
this
could
guy?
be it too. That
I
could
don't
be.
know who
He
this
was
guy
just wanting you to ask a question.
That's what it was. But I was letting Shireen have it because she's the Hall of Famer. So I was deferring
You know
to her.
what? Sometimes you got to be selfish.
That's true.
You got to start being selfish a little bit and step in front of her.
Well,
ask the question.
If I get back to doing Cowboys games again next season, I'll remember that. So,
Hell yes.
he is the natural Dustin Rhodes. Justin, did you have something else you wanted to say? You look like you have something.
He's sleeping. He's
No,
bored.
no, I didn't want to end on a down note, but I just had to ask you because you probably worked with him at least at one point since you're there. I mean, because Pat Patterson had passed away. And I
That's
just wanted
right.
to know if you had any.
Give me your thoughts on Pat Patterson.
If you had.
Yeah,
some-
that sucks, man. I mean, the first ever Intercontinental Champion. I dealt with Pat a lot in my younger Gold Dust years, and he's always a gentleman. He was very nice to my daughter, Dakota, very good to her, and pretty much good to me. I've never really had a bad thing to say about Pat, and I've always got along with him. And he's always given me great advice, character advice, and just kind of worldly advice also. So I mean, Pat was always very good to me, and it sucks that one of our own has to leave this earth again, because it seems like it happens so much in our family of families, and it's I mean, I'm sure this happens in the entertainment world and people that are close to them, that happens a lot or whatever, but for us, Pat Patterson was a good man and did some great things in the business. Unbelievable that he's gone. But I'm sure he's in a better place, and probably sitting up there with Pops right now, smoking a cigar, talking about whatever.
They're probably giving Gene Okerlund a hard time for something.
Can you imagine a crew up there right now?
Oh,
if they
man.
ran a heavenly show. God.
You got both the Road Warriors up there, so they're probably finding a way to book a tag team match with the Road Warriors.
They're selling out the pearly gates.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely, man. You would have the Fink and the Brain, and they would all be working ringside.
Absolutely.
It would be
Absolutely.
Oh,
I have to ask,
unreal.
would better karaoke, your dad or Pat Patterson?
Pat Patterson.
Easily.
There you go. Absolutely.
Pat Patterson was his karaoke was pretty tight, and I've heard Dad sing, on stage and things like that. Dad had a terrible voice, but he didn't care. He just got up there and had fun with them.
That's right.
Usually it was singing with Willie or Johnny Paycheck or one of the old timers
Johnny
like
Paycheck,
that,
yeah.
and it was just cool.
Him and David Allen Coe, because David Allen Coe used to do.
Coe, yes.
He used to do all those old Great American Bash tours back in the Jim
yeah.
Crockett days.
Hey, was he the one that was
stuff.
doing the tours when they were doing the War Games?
Yeah,
Was it Alan Cole at that time?
I think so. Right?
Great American Bash.
Yeah.
Great American Bash. He was always there doing the
Okay.
stadiums outdoor, singing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, all right, Dustin, we will let you get back to your evening. And man, thank you so much for calling me.
Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome anytime.
I saw you on there. Saw you were live. I just wanted to call in and say hey.
Well, I appreciate it, man. All the best to you. All the best to your lovely wife and everybody else. And yes, let's get together and do some chowing down on that deer meat.
You got it, pal.
All right.
Y'all be good.
Be good. Love you, pal. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, he made me cry with that story, Pat Patterson.
I know.
I mean, like,
know.
I never even met Pat Patterson, but you have to give credit to where credit is due. The WWE for all the faults there. Production tribute packages that one hit hard.
They do.
I saw that before I got here, so I was already a little emotional. And then that story, just to go along with it, I was just like, oh man. He just seems like a really good person.
I was lucky. I met him once at Colorful Alley Club in 2018. It was a very, very brief encounter, but he was gracious. He was classy. So
like he had that presence, right?
Yeah,
he just be like that person.
Oh, absolutely, and especially in a environment like that where there's legends all over the place, to have him there, it was really neat. So, and thanks to Dustin Rhodes, the natural. I mean, that's what happened. That's the beauty of it. We are so lucky to be able to call him not only a co-host but a friend and
to get his insight, to know, like, hey, to firsthand insight from what it is to be on the inside of the business from his very unique perspective, considering that he still in ring performs on a national level with this whole brand new brand, but also working through this pandemic and some of those challenges
doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with AEW.
Helping prep the next generation while they're at it. So it's so interesting because it's like, man, he's like the wise sage at this point in his career.
I'll have to see if Dustin can do some deer chili, because I love me some deer chili. So
is that your thing?
I love deer chili.
I didn't realize that was your gimmick.
My brother, my younger brother, makes a really good deer chili.
I just never thought about deer chili.
Yeah, I mean it's chili, but it's deer meat instead of ground beef.
I mean, it doesn't sound bad. It's never,
really good.
I'm not like much of a chili person.
It's really good. We're going to take a quick time out. We have more coming up next on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn.
Like
I did it like that because we went almost 40 minutes, so that we'll cut that into 2 segments at least.
Oh, I figured you were just gonna cut what you liked of it and just use.
Oh
that.
no, we're going to keep I'm going to keep as much. And now I gotta do some bleeps because the Horn won't let us curse even at 10 p.m.
But see, this is why people have to tune into the YouTube show.
Which is why you have to tune into the YouTube show.
Because you just never know what's going to happen.
Eric Burns isn't he isn't stupid. He knows. He knows.
Thank you again for watching.
I'm sure Eric's there. Let's see. Let me make sure.
I know we had tweets and everything, so thanks again this past week.
Yeah.
The radio station the radio station likes seeing that.
That's right. They do. Now granted it's kind of funny because the Horn right now would be broadcasting Cowboys Ravens.
Yes.
On a Tuesday night. By the way,
Tuesday.
Quick update. I think this week and next week on the Horn, Texas men's basketball plays on Wednesday nights. We will still air. We will air just in Fight Night ATX will air as well. I should say Fight Night. That's their Twitter handle, Fight Night ATX. So Fight Night and Sports Guys Talking Wrestling will come on after Longhorn basketball the next both tomorrow night and next week. And then I think we're off the 2 weeks after that for Christmas and New Year's. So we'll get some recharge.
Well, I was gonna say you make the schedule, so
yeah.
You tell me.
I think we might do a podcast only show if something interesting happens, but likely we will come back after that. We'll come back that first week of January, celebrate our 5th anniversary. Wow. 5 years.
Is that the golden anniversary?
In radio, it might as well be. I mean, it was started as a podcast, but hey, anytime we can make something last 5 years.
That's true.
That's
5 years
that's
is
pretty
a long
damn good.
time.
So,
but I was gonna say, I had it on the tip of my tongue. I'm not even sure. 8:30.
What's that?
Completely lost train of thought now because it was a valid question too, but I guess it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, well.
Oh, so we're gonna be airing after men's basketball.
And I had so Texas men's basketball takes on, is it Texas State?
So are we gonna call those editions Sports Guys Talking Wrestling After Dark? I mean, we always are on After Dark anyways, but like.
Well, I think the reason we're airing is because the basketball games, if I'm not mistaken, tip off at like 6 or 6:30.
Oh, okay.
So all it means is that it will last till, usually by the time it ends is usually when Fight Night airs.
And there's no post game?
Well, that's including post game.
Oh, okay.
So we might get pushed. Stay tuned to the Horn. Check it out. If you tune in at 10 o'clock, you might hear the end of Fight Night. I can promise you we will not be on before 10 o'clock. It might be a little after.
So it's going to be like...
That's tomorrow night and next Wednesday.
So it's going to be like Sports Guys Talking Wrestling Underground.
which might last longer than Raw Underground.
I like our chances.
I still say that's what they should have kept.
What,
Keep Raw Underground, get rid of Retribution.
Wow, that's a harsh
again
sale.
I was the one who kept saying, okay, but what's the purpose?
Well, we all
give me a purpose.
We all were wondering, like, is there going to be a belt? Is there going to be a title shot? I mean, it was somewhat interesting. I mean, it was at least different, and that's why it was such an interesting to kind of hear Dustin just be like, yo, they didn't take any extra chances that they wouldn't have taken regardless of this pandemic, because I feel like the WWE did try to do some of these things that they probably wouldn't have normally done if there wasn't a pandemic.
I think the cinematic matches, obviously, those turned out, I think at least a couple of those we wouldn't have seen.
Oh, easily.
Now, AEW has only done
the stadium match, which was amazing.
They did the Stadium Stampede. They did
the deletion. match.
Right. I'm not sure that one. I have a feeling that would have happened.
But that would have happened anyways.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, no.
Now, it may have happened like on on Dynamite rather than a pay-per-view.
Maybe.
But
still
because they did the same thing in Impact Wrestling, those cinematic matches.
Yeah, no. I mean that would happen regardless, and that's why I'm like, well, when he said that, I go, it makes sense because it seems like everything that they were kind of building to still kind of fell into place, regardless of how it would have been with or without a pandemic. But the WWE, it looked like, oh, we're going to just throw this over here, and like you were like, oh, okay, this Raw Underground thing, like, you know, that was just like, okay, that was just really random.
It was random. It was okay. It just there just wasn't a purpose to it.
Exactly, and I can understand where some fans find it insulting because they're like, hey, so you brought this thing and now it's gone with no explanation.
Well, and there was the whole, you want something that looked more real. So then that means what we see in the ring isn't real. There was all sorts of other, issues with it.
Yeah, like I applauded them for taking the chance. It's just like we have to admit that like it just wasn't good, and I applaud them for taking the chance on new stable like Retribution. It's just it hasn't been good.
I applaud them for taking the chance. The problem is that is easier to fix.
Like it should be. I'm just always wondering why it isn't.
Who knows?
But then again, I mean. Is it working? Is it working with like a certain demographic that they may be chasing? Like,
no, because AEW keeps beating them in that demos.
Yeah, but I mean, but there's still people that are tuning in, right? There's still
people tuning in.
There's still like thousands and thousands of people that are tuning into what they're putting out that are that demographic, though, right?
That are attracted to Retribution.
No, to just the WWE product in general. Like, there's still like a younger.
So there's been the whole thing about WWE viewers average older.
Well, yeah, because I'm just saying like what's gonna please you and what's gonna please me won't necessarily please somebody that's a part of a completely different generation.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I wonder how I would need to find somebody that's around that age group to tell me like, hey, do you really enjoy what's being put out? Because sometimes I just feel it's like, hey, it's just us and this is what the show is. It's just us sharing our opinions, but it's going to come from that perspective. And sometimes I really am curious. It's like, yo, as a brand new wrestling fan that's not accustomed to any of this history, like what attracts you to the WWE product? What attracts you to the AEW product?
Right. And I think I've read where some people have the theory that that's the reason Sting has been brought in, is to attract those viewers that may have watched, say, the Monday Night Wars.
Oh,
and then as soon as WCW got bought out by WWE, they said, see you later.
See, I was looking at it as the perspective of a person that talks about professional wrestling on the radio for a living. Yeah. So that's how I look at almost everything that happens in professional wrestling.
Right.
Because I look at it in the context of this show. Like, oh, how would I discuss that?
Yeah.
Or how, outlandish it is. But then I also take a step back and realize, it's at least in WWE's case, it's a show about professional wrestling.
Right.
AEW, I still have to see
and
more.
We're fans. We're still wrestling fans.
Oh, yeah.
So
we
like what we like. We don't like what we don't like.
Oh, yeah. I still enjoy it. But, I mean, I definitely see it differently than most people will see it, though.
Right. It's, I don't harp too much on the Fiend Bray Wyatt because I know he's popular. It's not my cup of tea. I think it's silly, but,
I think it's a beautiful callback to the Attitude Era where character work was more important than in-ring work.
That's possible.
And his character development, no matter how strange it may be, is like fascinating still, though. He's a great talker. His vignettes are awesome. And it's like, that's entertaining to watch.
Right.
But if you don't like it, you don't like it, And it's just kind of like.
By the way, did you hear the rumor? So apparently rumor innuendo says, so Alexa Bliss was not on Raw last night.
Yeah.
The rumor is she is in Los Angeles with a couple other WWE wrestlers shooting a reboot of Punky Brewster.
I'm okay with that.
I was like, that's random, but okay,
and see,
sure.
It's really weird because I'm too young to really have liked Punky Brewster the first go around. Like I'm just too.
And I didn't watch it because it was kind of like, why do I care about a little girl that's
orphan?
Yeah, an orphan that's living with a.
Because she's an orphan, man.
What was it? What did he? What was his character?
I don't know.
Forget, what was his name? Richard Mulligan. Played a. I want to say it was a doctor, but I could be. That probably.
I've never watched it. I'm like, and I love '80s stuff, but I
Yeah.
just didn't watch Punky Brewster.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm down for the fact that they're going towards those retro style things and just
They're
kind of
doing the reboots.
and utilizing what their crowd would already like.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll show you the video here in a little bit of the spot they did on Impact Wrestling. So if you have not heard, so as we mentioned with Dustin, so at the end of AEW Dynamite, Don Callis says, "Hey, we'll talk about everything Tuesday night," and Alex Marvez is going to hold it. AEW's on Wednesday night. He goes, "No, Tuesday night on Impact Wrestling and Access TV."
Oh,
So Don Callis and Kenny Omega are appearing. That would be tonight on Impact Wrestling on Access TV. Kenny Omega with the AEW World Championship belt.
yeah, I felt like Dustin was a little bit more in character when we asked him about Kenny Omega, like as in like the wrestler Dustin.
Well, because there's because there's probably certain things he can't.
Oh yeah, easily. I didn't want him to think that we're stepping on his toes
Oh,
about that.
he
But
knows.
but like when he was talking about, I'm sorry. I had a really good focal point for this too. I just didn't want him to think that we were
Talking about Omega going back to being the cleaner.
Oh no, I was gonna say that I thought it was a brilliant move that it got everybody talking, just like he said.
Oh, sure.
And it was exciting. It was such a cool thing to see because it was so unexpected, and it was just like that. It did have that feeling of the old school Attitude Era of Raws, where like anything could happen.
And it did.
It's kind of like when ECW would randomly show up on WWE television. And in this case, it was TNA or Impact, who I really feel have been out on like an island on their own, teaming
True.
up with the hottest company in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it does good for both fans because I'm sure that there's a lot of crossover fans for both demographics. For both shows, but I just thought it was really cool. And like what Dustin was saying about Sting, it's like I get it. He's not my hero, but I definitely marked out. It's like seeing the Undertaker. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter what you think of them. You know what they mean to the
Right.
business, and for to have their presence. Oh yeah, and like what you said, to bring back Sting. Yes, it's to get people like yourself, people my age that are familiar with the Stinger, to kind of get their eyes attuned to AEW and check out the rest of the product.
Who had stopped watching wrestling in 2001 after WCW was gone.
Yeah.
And decided to done with
And
it.
on that hand, I have no problems with it. I think it's a shrewd move. I was just wondering, like, from just like, let's just get down to the meats and potatoes about this. Is he going to
Is
come
he
back
going
and
to wrestle? Is he
like how
And
much and how important is that to people that are going to tune in? Are they expecting him to wrestle? Because I feel that if they hadn't been watching wrestling since 2001, you would accept the fact that this man has aged progressively throughout the years and that he has had some serious injuries the last couple of years, and that it probably isn't like too realistic to have him go into a 15-minute classic or something.
I get his last match was, when was the match with Seth Rollins?
WrestleMania, right?
No, that was
not
after. No,
after
it
the
was
WrestleMania
It was-
match?
You're thinking that's the
That's
one
his
with Triple
appearance,
H.
right?
That was the match with Triple H where NWO and DX show up.
Yeah, daytime, right? San
That
Francisco.
was 31. But it was after that, so it had to have been 20. Okay, hold on. We can figure this out. Give us a second. So that's WrestleMania 32. The one in Arlington, not Dallas. 32. That was 2016. So 2015. So Sting's last match would have been probably 20. Well, that was the Hall of Fame. That's when we saw him go in the Hall of Fame. So it was probably 2016. Late 2016. I mean, I could look it up. It was the match with Seth Rollins. They were gearing towards Sting vying for the world title.
Yeah.
and it was against Seth Rollins, and it was a
Buckle bomb.
buckle bomb that Seth didn't do anything wrong. He just hit it wrong, and boom.
No, I mean, those things
So,
happen. It's just
yeah.
that, like, you have a bump card. Sting's bump card lasted a lot longer than most, but it's
True.
just all like, I just wonder how important to see him in ring it would be for those fans that haven't been watching the product. For me and for you, it's like, hey, it's Sting.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what he is going to do.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. He doesn't necessarily have to wrestle, but like, again, he's just such a huge presence. I feel like, well, he has to kind of appear like he's going to be a physical threat. How are they going to work this in? So I'm interested. I just want to see, do other people that are tuned in that don't watch wrestling find this interesting?
Yeah.
That are coming back for the first time.
I get you. All right, let's hit the last segment and finish this one up strongly.
Hola a todos, esta es Thunder Rosa y estás escuchando Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. This is Thunder Rosa and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the horn. Stu Myrick, Justin Smash Simmons.
Sí, aquí en la horn.
Sure. I don't speak Spanish. I'm sorry. Yes, I took Russian. I spoke Russian in the Army, but I never took Spanish. We play that for Thunder Rosa because this weekend in independent wrestling around the area, she's got a show coming up. Let's talk about that. Mission Pro Wrestling, her company, presents Run It Back Friday at Pinball's Kingdom in Buda. Bell time 7:30 p.m. Thunder Rosa will take on Baby D in Baby D's retirement match. Plus, Kimberly Red Velvet, who we've seen on AEW Dark and Dynamite, Maddie Rinkowski, Jasmine Allure, and more. That's Mission Pro Wrestling this Friday in Buda, just south of Austin. And then SWE Fury Christmas Chaos. Their TV tapings will happen Saturday at the 6th Grade Center Gym in Greenville. Bell time, I believe, is 5 p.m. there. Teddy Long will be there, the Hall of Famer. Mark Henry will be there, the Hall of Famer.
Awesome.
Plus, Charlie Haas, Kevin Sullivan, our friend Nigel Rabbit, and more. That's SWE Fury this Saturday in Greenville. And that's a look at independent wrestling happening around the area. Again, both events will do everything as safely as possible, so make sure you wear your mask and enjoy some awesome wrestling. Real quick, New Japan Pro Wrestling is returning to the Budokan for the first time since last summer's G1 Climax finals. It will be this Friday for the finals of both Best of Super Juniors and the World Tag League. El Desperado will take on Hiromu Takahashi in the Best of Super Juniors final. David Finlay and Juice Robinson will face their arch rivals, the Gorillas of Destiny, in the World Tag League finals. So that's this Friday. Catch it on NJPW World. Also, Vice TV. They do Dark Side of the Ring, one of the best shows on TV. They've decided to expand that to do Dark Side of Football and Dark Side of the 90s.
Okay.
So those will air in 2021.
So 2 episodes on OJ already penciled in.
I was going to say, there's football and the 90s.
Yep.
But both of those they will currently in production, and they will debut in 2021. So
is it just me, or you think we're going to get the Southwest Conference story all over
God,
again?
yes.
Especially the SMU thing.
Yes. Did you see the write-up on ESPN.com? They did a great write-up because it was
Oh,
25
the
years
history.
since the final Southwest Conference.
Yeah, no, it was excellent.
Yeah, good stuff. So make sure you check that out.
Fitting since Coach Akers passed away this week.
Absolutely. Fred Akers, longtime Longhorn football coach, should have won at least one national title.
Yeah, underrated, actually.
That 83-84 team.
I think he performed a lot better than most fans gave him credit for during his time here.
And considering where he came in, because he was the one that followed
It's
Coach
hard.
Royal.
You never want to be the guy that has to replace the legend.
Again, never follow Sinatra. You always follow the guy that follows Sinatra.
Danny White would tell you that.
That's right.
And he was a good quarterback.
Fred Akers came in after that, where everybody wanted Mike Campbell instead. But he had success with the Longhorns. Then after that, it was David McWilliams, and then on down the road.
Can I just say before we sign off, if you haven't seen it because we didn't get a chance to talk about it, see the Keith Lee doc.
Yes.
And go back and watch War Games, NXT TakeOver War Games.
NXT TakeOver War Games was a good show.
It was a really good card.
Really good.
And War Games was great.
Yeah. Undisputed Era did a hell of a job beating Team McAfee. And, yes, the WW24 on Keith Lee just could not be prouder to have been at least there
Part of
for
the ride,
some of the ride. I smiled the entire time. And especially, and I teared up a little bit, him talking about Killer Tim Brooks.
Well, I mean,
another legend we lost this year.
But like, when people say like, "Oh yeah, when I first saw him, I knew like he was going to be special." It's like, no, that's exactly what you saw when you first saw Keith.
Yeah.
Like you just knew. It's like, no, this guy's going to make it.
And granted, we came along probably a little later than some, but that first card, that first Inspired card.
Yeah,
you knew immediately.
Like the first time I saw him live, I was like, okay, this guy's going to make it somewhere at some point, within the next couple of years. And sure enough, it happened. I'm not saying like we're prophets or anything like that.
No.
Or we have a crystal ball, but it was just like that's what happens when you knew he was that special.
Yeah.
So congrats to him.
And now he's showing it every week on Monday Night Raw,
which is always fun to see. Yeah.
Not to mention, it was also a little weird seeing Ray Rowe or Eric doing the Ray Rowe thing.
Yeah.
On the because of course he and Keith battled quite a bit.
But it's just like we saw those matches happen live, and now that they're talking about it in this documentary, which millions of people will watch eventually, because there's millions of people in the WWE
We've been
universe.
able to call a few of those matches.
Exactly. So it's just like, wow. By proxy, it's all like I get to celebrate a little bit on the inside, but obviously couldn't be happier for him and his success.
Absolutely. So check that out on the WWE Network. That'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can follow Justin Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter at SGTWATX. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We are proud to be the official podcast partner of the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, and we're proud to be part of the great lineup you hear every day. On the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns and your radio home in Austin for the Dallas Cowboys, we are The Horn. Catch us Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Central, or catch us anytime on demand by going to hornfm.com and click on the On Air tab, or by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast provider. Our thanks to Dustin Rhodes for joining us, and our thanks to you. Give us a little bit of your time tonight. For Justin, I'm Stu. Thank you so much, and we will see you at the matches.
Goodbye and good night. Bang!
And there we go.
Okay, but quickly though, strap match. Did you dig it?
Yeah, it was kind of.
It was actually pretty good.
It was good. It was much. I think it was very good. Yes, I think it was better than what was expected. I think part of that was because the storyline between Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis had seemed to have gone on a little longer than it should.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a good. Hopefully, that was the blow off.
But for like somebody like myself that doesn't tune in each and every week to NXT, it was like, okay, everything made sense.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
It was.
Even though, like, of course there were some down points, but I mean, like, even the women's War Games match was like they left it all out there. That was crazy.
Well, I mean, you had Candice LeRae broken arm apparently.
Yeah.
I think there were a couple of other injuries. You saw the Johnny Gargano is now the North American champion again, and
now
we get to see Austin Theory aligned with him.
How fun was the match, though? I mean, like I thought that match.
Fun.
I thought that match was done so well. It utilized everybody's strengths perfectly.
Yeah.
It was just like I really felt like it almost stole the show until I saw the main event.
It was really good. I hope that this is not the end for Leon Ruff. I hope we see him in more high-profile in a high-profile setting.
But like when somebody's talented, like he just you could tell he's just really talented. Like his facial
Right.
expressions, the way he
Yeah.
sells things, like he's just
good.
good at what he does.
He's good. Damian Priest, of course, one of my favorites. Let's see what else. Oh, Ciampa and Thatcher. Good Lord. Just beat the snot out of each other.
Kind of what I expected
Yeah.
those two to do. But what did you think
Exactly.
about the main event? War Games.
The War Games match, it was fine. It was good. It told the story.
But it was brutal, just like
It
the
was
way
very brutal.
the way War Games should be brutal.
Exactly. You do see now why they decided not to have the roof on it like the old War Games matches did.
I don't feel like you have to do that each and every time that there is a cage that somebody has to jump off of it. I hate having to see the talent take,
Yeah.
career wasting bumps.
It is one of those things where if you when you see Hell in a Cell, you know automatically either one or both combatants are going to go up top.
And somebody's going to have to come off of that thing.
Someone's going to have to come off of
Or-
it. Maybe not from the top, but at least from midway.
Yeah, and then if nothing happens, nobody's going to be satisfied because it's already
True.
been done. And I'm just like, but it doesn't have to happen every time.
Yeah.
Because if it happens every time, then it's not exciting when it does
It's
happen.
the law of diminishing returns. Exactly. So
But I thought, man, the Undisputed Era is just the real deal. Like, all those guys are so good.
but yeah, the Keith Lee thing, that was fun to watch. It was great to see Jerome Daniels Griffey
Oh, to
on
be part
there.
of the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damon Sayles. You saw Damon Sayles, that's Keith's cousin.
Yes.
We know him because I don't think he works for ESPN anymore. He used to do recruiting for ESPN. He used to write about recruiting.
Oh, that's right.
So Damon and I have definitely crossed paths at different sport, football events, Big 12 Media Days, what have you. So I've known Damon for a little while. I remember when he told me he was Keith's cousin. He was like, okay, this is kind of neat. So, but yeah, it was fantastic. Shout out to VIP Wrestling, our friends up there. They got a lot of good pub off of it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their clips showed up,
Yeah.
so that's always good to see.
They showed the first Dijak Lee match from Beyond Wrestling.
Well, I mean, it's also nice that they included all those clips and gave proper credit to everybody. So maybe people that tuned into this will go check out their shows.
Absolutely. Seeing some of the old footage of Killer Tim Brooks, and it's just like, good
Yes.
Lord.
You remember the first time?
Yeah. Oh, I remember when he was in the ring at World Class, and he just scary as all gut out. He was managed by Gary Hart.
Yeah.
And then all I can ever think is sitting there with him and James Beard there at Texoma before the show, listening to them trade stories. It was one of the best 2 hours I've ever had. Just listening to those two.
They don't make them like that no more, man.
They don't. So, I didn't mention the football thing. Lake Travis starts the playoffs this week. They will be at Dragon Stadium to take on Round Rock.
Oh, that means
It's a
it's
7
a 7
o'clock
p.m. kickoff.
7 o'clock kick. 7 p.m.
Why?
kick.
Why do they start at 7?
I guess it's something Round Rock ISD does. I don't know.
I know, but it's been like that ever since I've covered sports here, and I'm just like, I need that extra 30 minutes to escape Austin traffic.
We all do. I mean, granted, it's going to be easy
even
for
if
me.
you're there early,
Yeah.
but I mean, I know.
And I
but
forget,
It's
yeah,
still a
it
little
is-
bit of a drive for you, though.
It is 7. That means 6:45 pregame, which means I need to be there like 4:30, 4:45.
Yeah,
to
and
get-
honestly, their traffic is still pretty heavy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I've got
Yeah, I know you can like kind of
Alternate,
like
yeah.
zigzag around,
Right.
but it's just all like their stadium, like that stadium isn't easy to get to.
It's not, but it's shorter. It's closer to this than Cavalier Stadium. So,
Oh well, yeah. I mean, in that case, that's kind of funny.
and it'll be and then after this week,
I mean,
assuming Lake Travis wins, then it's San Antonio,
On
whatever.
the road again.
Yeah, I'll have Bucky playing some Christmas music with Bucky in the car because
Did
Bucky
wanna-
likes to ride with me.
I was curious about Dustin and his thoughts on Christmas and trees.
Yeah,
Should have
yeah.
asked him.
So, well, hopefully I'll get to go see the house.
That'd be cool.
It's just in Liberty Hill, so
Just
up the
in
road.
Liberty Hill.
Just up the road.
Just an hour drive out of the way. Just.
From here, it's about 30 minutes.
Uh,
Again, North Austin, and I'm right here. There's 183 right over there,
that's true.
so it's straight shot.
I don't know. I've been delivering packages down Palmer. It's like this road is really much longer than one would think.
It has it wasn't this. This didn't exist, at one time.
Oh, there's stuff that's been put in where I'm like, oh, that convenience store wasn't there, or
Yeah.
oh, that store wasn't there. And
Yep.
it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember when this was. This might as well have been Waco. So
There was nothing out here for a long time, right?
there wasn't. All right, we're going to sign off. Again, thanks to everybody for joining us on YouTube or if you watch us later. But for now, for Justin Umstu, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.